Hi guys, Josh here. Welcome to Frames Per Second. Today we're shooting some Portra 800 around rainy Melbourne with Shannon again. Somehow I dragged her into it again.
It's always the cold things. Like last time it was the cold water, and now it's...
but you wanted to do that water shot.
Yeah, true, that was my
It was
fault.
your own fault. You heard it here first.
So I thought Queensland is going to be warm water. Wrong.
Are you putting her in the cold water in winter?
I'd say it was a mutual decision.
A mutual, okay, mutual decision.
Oh, no, this is what giving back the spill. Alright. Yay!
Lean on that side. Lean your bag at the top. Just like tilt your head a bit like that.
Portra 800 has quickly become my favorite iteration of Portra. Just the way it handles light, the grain, it's different from the new Portra, which is Portra 160 and 400. Portra 800, of course, is based on Vision 2 technology, which is why it looks different. And I just like the colors more. It eats a lot of light, so you do have to overexpose it just a bit. It doesn't necessarily have a more vintage look, but it does look different.
If I didn't mention it earlier, I'm shooting Portra 800 mostly because I like it more than Portra 400 if you meter it at 400. So if you overexpose it, it's just something really nice. And I do like the grain's a bit chunkier than the 400. Not for everything, but for some things. And Melbourne's very aesthetically kind of like older architecture, which kind of makes it look cool. So.
And if you give it enough light, the grain isn't that apparent for something that's 800 speed. I say shoot it at 400 or 200, and then of course develop at box speed. And I found it to be less yellow than Portra 400 and less muted than Portra 160. It just seems to have more saturation to it. And one of the differences is that the new stuff is made more for scanning, while Portra 800, because it still is the old formula, not so much. It's made more for printing. So I am curious if doing a print from a negative would be different as far as the results go.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. What's it doing? Is it just everywhere?
Okay, let's make our way back.
I'm taking up karate. I don't know.
That was actually a really cool pose.
Let's get it.
Hang on. I don't know what to do with my face though. It's a bit of a weird...
Oh, you know, just like the action movement, like, you know,
do it,
when you're in the...
actually. Yeah.
So while I love this shot, especially because the wind just came at the right time, unfortunately it is a bit out of focus. The background seems to be more in focus than Shannon is, but it still kind of works, especially like if we had just posted on Instagram, it'd be fine.
You look at me really annoyed.
Now this shot's actually sharp. And so most of the shoot I was shooting on my 55mm lens, which is basically an equivalent to a 35mm on 35. And it is a bit tricky to focus.
Thank God he's wearing Timberlands.
Yeah.
But I think most of the shots turned out really well. And just how you're able to get more of the environment, more of the background in the shot, add more depth to the image, is one of the reasons why I like shooting with it.
You don't have to get one. I was just looking at it.
If you don't get it this time, we won't get it.
It's not just about the model, but also the environment. And I think that's why my kind of portrait is more fashiony, because a lot of photographers put the focus on just the model. But for me, it's a combination of the model, the environment, and the outfits that make the shot.
Yeah.
Have to wait for the wind.
You wait for the wind to die down.
You're right, Shannon.
And yeah, just stand in the middle there. Maybe come up here and like 1 foot there.
And as you can see, here's how all three elements are really coming together, and how the 55mm lens actually adds in a lot of depth to the image. And of course, Shannon just looks beautiful, which helps when doing photography, having a beautiful person, and her eyes just like kind of pop just enough to kind of like draw you to her eyes. And just the bokeh, that medium format shallowness is just fantastic.
Like a cat. Yeah, I'll get you in front of these ones because they're a bit lighter.
This was just a very simple shoot. We were just friends kind of catching up and we're like, why not do a shoot as well? So it wasn't really planned. Portra 800s, I know it costs significantly more than Portra 400 and 160, but it's my favorite of the three. And it is a film that I want to use for most of my portrait work now. Portra 400 is great. Portra 160, I don't love as much. But Portra 800 for me is where it's at, and it's what I'm going to do most of my work with, unless I'm doing something specifically different, but it's going to be my go-to film for portraits. So if you haven't tried it out because of the price point, I definitely recommend doing it. It's a gorgeous film with its own uniqueness, and if you do street as well, it's going to look a lot more like the old stuff that the greats have shot.
You can be awkward in the background again. Thanks for watching, guys. Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to like and subscribe, turn those post notifications so you know when there's a new episode. Anyway, I'm Josh. This is Shannon. This has been Frames Per Second.